Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Alex Paul from InvestorStream, and I'll be your host today. Today we have Southern Palladium Managing Director Johan Odendaal, who will be providing an update on the company's near-term exploration program following its successful IPO earlier this month. Following the presentation, Johan will be available to address any questions you may have. We'll attempt to get through as many as time permits. Please feel free to send in your questions via the chat platform in the questions pane in the GoToWebinar control panel, or simply email them to me at alex@investorstream.com.au. You can also download a copy of the presentation by navigating to the handouts pane in the control panel. I understand the presentation has also been lodged on the ASX, so you can access it from that platform if you so choose as well. Finally, understand that it's quite early in South Africa for a lot of people. So for those that may miss out or may not be able to stay on board for the entire presentation, a copy of the webinar will be available on Southern Palladium's website and social media platforms later today. But for now, I'd like to throw it over to Johan to kick things off for us. Johan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex, and good day to you all. Thank you for joining us, well, in Johannesburg, quite an early and cold start, to talk about Southern Palladium's Bang Manyama PGM project. We just completed a successful capital raise and listed on both the ASX and the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And today I just want to give you a bit of background on the project itself, and then take you through our plans in the next couple of months, what we're planning in particular with the exploration and going forward. Thank you, Alex. You can go to the introductory page. I assume you guys know the disclaimers and read the disclaimers. Just to quickly give you some highlights on our projects. The Bang Manyama project is quite a large, shallow, advanced exploration project located in the eastern limb of a bushveld complex, and the complex itself is quite a large ore body containing about 72% of the world's PGM resources. We are also situated amongst tier 1 platinum and chrome producers. The geology, we've got both Marinsky and UG2 on the property, Marinsky outcropping and then the UG2 sub-outcropping. And recently we stated a resource of 90 million ounces in inferred with an exploration target of an additional 15 to 34. What makes this project also quite attractive is, of course, our pearl split and the weighting of palladium and rhodium, which is quite heavily in our favor. We have a single community on the project, and they are very supportive of this project. What we plan to do is to deliver within a 2-year period a pre-feasibility study, and then follow that up with a submission of a mining right application. You can go to the next slide, Alex. On our corporate structure, you can see here on the right-hand side that Miracle Upon Miracle Investments, or MUM as we call it, is the prospecting right holder, and Southern Palladium has a 70% interest in MUM. We also have a community holding a direct 30% holding in MUM, and also a 12.3% direct shareholding in Southern Palladium. Our current number of shares is close to 90 million shares, and at the share price yesterday of 62 Australian cents gave us a market capitalization of 56 million and an enterprise value of 37 million. Currently, we raised 19 million Australian dollar, and of course, 70% more or less of that will go into the ground with the exploration. Next slide, please. Our management consists basically of 3 directors from South Africa and 3 from Australia. an experienced board with an outstanding track record. Our chairman, Mr. Terence Goodlace, has over 40 years experience in the mining industry, was a director of Impala Platinum, and later on became also the CEO of Impala. Terence currently serves on various boards of large companies. Myself has been in the industry for more than 36 years, initially as a PGM analyst, and later on I became in the consulting business, and I also been CEO of MAM for the past 6 years. Mike Sturzaker brings to the board the financial experience and and his experience is also very valuable in our board. On the right-hand side is all our mining engineers, very good experience in open cast and underground operations, and also in the development of new operations. Our exploration will be run by Uwe Engelmann of Manexcon, and Uwe has more than 23 years experience also in the industry, and in particular also in platinum. Next slide, please, Alex. Then moving on to the project, it's situated on the eastern limb of a bushveld complex, and the project is easily accessible via tarred road. It actually runs past our project. We've got excellent infrastructure in terms of water, power, and services in the area, and there's a readily available skilled force in Steelpoort and Burgersfort, which are the nearby towns, and also on the farm. We are situated just south of Modikwa, which is a large operation owned by Anglo, Platts and ARM, and Two Rivers further south, which is owned by Impala and ARM. As you can see here, in terms of the eastern limb, we are one of the last remaining undeveloped PGM projects, which is near outcrop on that eastern limb. Next slide, please. Alex, you can move to the next slide. We recently stated, and that was in December, a inferred resource, JORC compliant by CSA Global, of 18.8 million ounces, with an additional exploration target of 15 to 34 million ounces. So that's quite a substantial resource, quite a high grade on the UG2, 7.7 grams per ton, over a reef width of 71 centimeters, and the Merensky Reef, quite a nice wide reef of close to 2 meters, but it comes at a lower grade, close to 3 grams per ton. As I mentioned earlier, our pearl split is quite heavily weighted towards palladium and rhodium, and the expected project split is in the order of palladium 44%, platinum 44%, rhodium 10%, and of course gold 2%. So that gives us quite a nice price basket at the moment, and this is only the 4E basket. It excludes all the other PGMs plus copper, nickel, and chrome, and it currently sits at $2,460 US dollar per 4E. The Merensky Reef also attractive at $1,500 per ounce. Can move to the next slide, Alex. The ore body itself is a tabular ore body, and that makes the bushveld complex so attractive, is that the ore body, both the Merensky and the UG2, basically stretch from the east, gently dipping by around about 10 to 12 degrees right through to the west. And the UG2 will typically be mined at around about 4.5 grams per ton 4E, and that of course will be at quite a attractive basket price. The access will be from the east, and that of course will allow for shallow access via decline, and a short development time. Next slide, please. We just this morning announced the results of our geophysical survey, which has been completed, and the data basically confirms what we expected in terms of the geological structures, and it also confirms that there is no loss of reef, in particular on the area that we planned for phase 1 drilling program. So that is quite a positive outcome for us, and give us comfort to now proceed with the drilling in the next few months. Next slide. We also signed a contract, and that's a drilling contract with Geomec Africa for the phase 1 exploration. And what we intend to do is basically to break up the exploration into 2 phases. Phase 1 will be to target the areas above 500 meters, and that is the area on the eastern side of the farm. That's sort of the yellow dots that you see, and that will be to convert the current inferred, which is a purple, and then the exploration target, which is a pink, into indicated resource. We'll do that by drilling 63 borers, or in the order of 25,000 meters that we will drill. So that will then give us an indicated, and following a feasibility study will then be converted to a potential reserve of 2 million ounces. The remaining area will be drilled out. We will put another 12 borers into that area during phase 2 to convert the exploration target into inferred resources. So our initial reserve potential will be from close to surface to a depth of around about 500 meters. Next slide, please. This slide basically shows our schedule for the next 12 months. We completed the flyover, and with, like I said, positive results. So we will now embark onto the drilling program, and we've been on the site now for a couple of months, also this weekend. So the drillers are in a process of mobilizing, and we foresee that drilling will start early in July, and that drilling program will run in the order of 10 months, and which will then allow us to state an indicated resource within 10 months from now. We will also complete a concept study in the meanwhile. The intention is to move us forward as well, to give us an indication of what the potential of this ore body is. The pre-feasibility study will start in 10 months from now, and that will run for around about 12 months to completion. The mining right application will be lodged around 12 months from now, and or a bit more than 12 months. But we plan to complete that in the order of 20 months from now. Next slide, please. Certainly, in terms of the PGM future demand, we believe our future is green. Application of PGMs, we see it in various applications, in green hydrogen production, where platinum and iridium is used, fuel cells, where platinum is used, and of course in autocatalyst application in internal combustion engines. We also foresee that in terms of internal combustion engines, that won't be phased out in the immediate future. We believe that there's still a strong demand up to 2030, after which we do see a decline. But that decline in terms of vehicle demand will be taken up by higher use of platinum and rhodium and palladium in autocatalysts, and due to the stricter emission standards, and so that content will increase. And of course, we will see hybrid vehicles coming into play as well. So all in all, we still foresee a strong platinum basket price going forward. Next slide, please, Alex. ESG is still important for us, and our board our management bring to the board good experience in terms of governance. So that is ticked in terms of the environment. Certainly from the start, we'll make sure that there's minimum harm to the environment. On the social front, we have a community, and that's the important part for us in developing this project in a safe and healthy environment. And in the end, we believe that that will bear fruit for us. And you can see here on the right-hand side, this is a Bang Manyama dream, and this is what comes from the community. Very positive in taking this project forward. Next slide, please, Alex. So finally, just in summary, I believe we are at the right price in terms of where we're located. We can, within the next 24 months, I believe, unlock substantial potential in this project. We have listed at an attractive price, and currently sitting at an EV of around about 1.94. That was at 62 cents. I think in future the green economy will drive the prices, and I think overall, to develop this project, we've got an excellent mining management team on board to take this project forward, and I believe that we can develop this within the time frame that we set ourselves. Thank you very much, Alex. I will now hand it over for questions.
Thanks, Johan. And we have had a number of questions come through. So I'd like to start, if I can, Johan, on the macro view of PGMs. In your view, why are PGMs important, and why would they be classified as being of critical importance by some?
Alex, yes. I think if we start by just looking at the application of PGMs, as I mentioned earlier, PGMs are used in the autocatalyst industry, and that's a large component of the use of PGMs. About 72% of 34% of platinum goes into the autocatalyst demand, and palladium roughly 85%. So that's quite large, and almost all of the rhodium, 89%, goes into the autocatalyst industry. So that is quite a big component in the demand for PGMs, and in the greener economy, quite an important driver. Recently, we've also seen that the U.S. Department of the Interior identified PGMs on the list of critical metals, and that was also echoed by the UK and Germany. So it's seen as very important metals, and also in the platinum demand for fuel cells. That's an emerging industry that we foresee, is going to pick up, and platinum in particular is going to play an important role in fuel cells, and platinum and iridium in the manufacture of hydrogen, of course, in the proton exchange membrane electrolyzer.
So historically, Johan, where are the PGMs mined, and why are they so uncommon?
I think what makes it so unique is that South Africa produces in order of 72% of global platinum, and most of the platinum production basically came from three areas. It is Russia and the Norilsk mines in Zimbabwe and South Africa. A small amount is coming from the US as well, and that's it. There has been the recent discovery of course, Chalice in Western Australia, and but that's likely to still only come onto the market 5 years from now. So in the end, if you want to be in platinum, it's probably still South Africa where you can be if you're interested in platinum.
So have the Russian sanctions started to impact on the Russian supply of PGMs?
Alex, the industry, I must say, the end market is not so transparent and of what is happening. But what we've seen is that the London platinum and palladium markets recently suspended delivery of Russian PGMs from 2 refineries. But we think that some of the Russian PGMs may be sold through China, and certainly I think what we will see is that some of the main manufacturers of autocatalysts, which sits in Europe, will be prohibited from buying Russian metal. So that might support the PGM still in the foreseeable future.
Okay, so just bringing it back to PGMs in South Africa specifically, what's the nature of the PGM mines in the Bushveld complex where you guys are located?
Alex, if we look at the Bushveld complex, it's apart from basically one big operation, the Mogalakwena, which sits on the Platte Reef. If you look at the remaining eastern limb and Bushveld and the western limb of a Bushveld complex, it's mainly underground operations. The western limb in particular is now getting quite deep with operations on the Merensky and some of the UG2 as well, sitting at in between 1,500 to 1,700 meters. So that is getting quite deep, and that's why, you know, if we look at the eastern limb, it's became the focus of the industry, and in particular with the UG2 on the eastern limb, with its high UG2, with its high rhodium and palladium content, has become the focus area for PGM production.
So I understand that the PGMs come from 2 separate reefs. What can you tell me about the difference between them?
Yes, if we look at the 2 reefs, and that's overall on the eastern limb and the western limb, the Platte Reef is slightly different. But if you look at the eastern limb and western limb complex, you basically have 2 reefs: the Merensky, which is a top reef, and the UG2, which is the bottom reef, which sits in an order of 150 to 200 meters apart. The Merensky is typically a sulfide ore body, which is richer in platinum. And the UG2 is, of course, more a chrome reef. It's basically a chrome reef, which is platinum rich, and a higher palladium and rhodium proportion. And of course, very basically the focus area at the moment for PGMs.
So now to Southern Palladium's Bang Manyama project. You're on record saying that this is one of the last near-surface PGM deposits in the Bushveld. Why hasn't it been mined?
Alex, yeah, the Bang Manyama project does have a long ownership history, and if we look in South Africa under the old mining title system, the owners of the surface also owned the mineral rights, and so it has a complex history of claims and counterclaims. And eventually through a court process, the Bang Manyama obtained the prospecting rights, and that's a process that took us in order of 16 years to finally get a court decision and outcome which awarded the MUM the prospecting right, and that was in 2015.
So, in your view, why is the Bang Manyama project so attractive?
I think basically for a couple of reasons, but I think the most important reason, of course, is if you look at that checkered map on the eastern limb, you'll see that the project is one of the last remaining shallow projects on the eastern limb. And with the Merensky, of course, outcropping and the UG2 sub-outcropping, it allows us to very, within a fairly reasonable short time, develop that project. So that makes the project very attractive. The other thing, of course, comparing to our other peers out there, and I'm talking more about other countries and so forth, we sit within a mining hub. So all the infrastructure is basically there in terms of electricity, labor, water. It's easily accessible. The other thing, of course, at the moment, with the price scenario, the UG2 is very attractive with the high palladium and rhodium content. The grade itself of the UG2 is quite high, and we believe that going into mining, if you look at the similar operations in that area, we believe that we could see a reserve grade in the order of 4 to 4.5 grams per ton.
Are there PGM mines nearby?
Yes, we have a number of PGM operations and also Crow operations. The Madikwa mine is just north of us and actually adjacent to the project. And we have the several mines further south, Arm and Impala's Two Rivers operation, and also a couple of other operations, Mototolo and the Boysendaal operation. And these are fairly large, sizable operations, and both Two Rivers and Madikwa, for instance, produce around 300,000 ounces of PGMs, which is large.
So what's the relationship like with the Bang Manyama community?
Alex, I mean, this is a relationship, like I said, which now come for 16 years. And through these 16 years, we formed an excellent relationship with the community. Like I said, they are very supportive of this project. They want to see this project being developed. And also, I think what is important for them is not only the shareholding. I mean, we see them as a major partner, of course, in this project, and with their shareholding, which is significant. But for us, it's a relationship that I think we've built through the years, excellent relationship, and we keep on building this relationship. I mean, we just spent the past weekend again with the community to make sure that they are informed about the drilling and the procedures and the rollout. And I think overall an excellent relationship with the Bang Manyama.
And you touched on it in the presentation, but can you just, I guess for the benefit of those who may have missed it, can you just give us a rundown on the management team and their relevant backgrounds?
Yeah, in terms of the management, like I said, I think we've got an excellent team. And, for me, it's also, in the development of a project is what can you bring, to the market? And I think in terms of project, certainly, there's a lot of boxes that we can tick with this project in terms of what makes it attractive. But the other important aspect, of course, is management. And, management have excellent experience in platinum in particular. Again, if I can just emphasize the experience that Terence Goodlace, our chairman, has. My experience in PGMs for many, many years. Don van Heerden as consultant did, a lot of feasibility studies in the industry, and Uwe as well, been on projects, exploration projects, specifically on the Bushveld complex. So overall, a very competent and experienced team that we have.
So just getting back onto the exploration plan that you have, I guess broadly, the project, as I understand it, already has nearly 19 million ounces of resources. Why do you need to keep drilling?
Well, I think at this point in time, we sit with an inferred resource, which we certainly want to upgrade. But maybe I should just give Uwe Engelman, who's the manager for the exploration program, just a chance to come in here and just briefly give us, his views on the upgrade and where we're going.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for the opportunity. So we're in the fortunate position that we have got access via the public domain on historical drilling that was done on the property by the previous companies. Using that information, we've been able to compile a 3D model, and CSA Global have assisted us in putting a 18.8 million ounce inferred resource together. Plus, like Johan said, we've got the additional upside potential on the exploration target. But I mean, that's not good enough at the end of the day for feasibility studies and going forward with the project. So hence the initial phase that we want to do is that around about 24.5 to 25,000 meters of, call it, resource definition drilling more than exploration drilling, because we kind of know what we've got there. And so that'll be for the upgrade into the indicated resource. And then we'd like to know for the upside potential in the future of the mine, our estimates for the exploration target, because they are of lower confidence. Well, not need to, but we'd like to do that additional drilling on phase 2 just to probe those areas, just to upgrade that upgrade the exploration target into inferred. So we've got the entire project either in indicated and inferred. So we'll get a higher confidence in the project, or in the model, as well as the resources for future feasibility studies.
Thanks, Uwe. I might address the next question to you as well, if I can, because I think this one's also along the same sort of line. Is there a risk the deposit is more complex than your geological team are currently assuming?
I suppose there's always going to be a risk of sort in our industry, in the exploration, but that's one of the reasons we wanted to just confirm some of the historical structural plans, or plans that we had come across, just to confirm the major structures. So what we did fly and complete the heliborne survey of January of this year, which has been interpreted. And they pretty much confirm almost identical of what we had in the model. So that the larger structures that we've got actually do or were confirmed by the airborne survey that we've done. And we've also gone into the public domain to have a look at what our neighbor, what we could gather in terms of these structures on our neighboring properties, which is up Madikwe to the north, Grootboom to the east, and also Kennedy Vale to the south of us. And after we had compiled our model, we had combined it, or just to relate it to the neighboring structural information that we've got, and it actually fitted pretty well, like a puzzle piece fitting together. So we're fairly confident in that respect from the larger structures, and then also with the historical depth intersections that we've got from the previous drilling, because there was something like 27 boreholes drilled on the property previously. So we've got a fair idea of the depth. So by and large, I think that's been de-risked to a certain extent. And we have included the geological losses of 17 and 10% for the UG2 and Merensky, respectively. And for the exploration target, we've actually increased that because of the unknown to 40 and 35%. So we do believe that we've de-risked it as much as we can for the stage that we're at currently.
Now, over in Australia, we're hearing certainly quite a bit from clients of mine in particular. There's a shortage of rigs and delays in laboratories. You're hearing a lot of that in the market, especially over here in Australia. Do you have the same problem in South Africa, or can the geologists start drilling right away?
No, so I mean, I think the hold up really was getting the listing done so we could sign the contracts and so forth. So that's now all behind us. So we've been able to sign the major drilling contracts. So that's been signed. We've been on site with the drillers twice already. And we're in discussions and meeting with them from a logistical point of view. So I suppose South Africa is in the fortunate position we don't have that. Is that because of the exploration lagging in South Africa in relation to Australia? But yeah, we don't really have that issue. So we've got 5 drill rigs earmarked for the project, and we're hoping to have the first on site within the next 4 to 5 weeks. So call it mid-July. We're hoping to have the first rig on site, and then we'll start bring the remainder on the rigs as we build the project up. So in short, no, there isn't really, well, if there is a shortage, we're not aware of it, and we've got our 5 rigs that we need for our site. Those have been banked for us basically by Geomec Africa.
Thanks, Uva. I might direct this next one back to Johan if I can. In the prospectus, it says it will take around 2 years to move Bang Manyama to a mining right application, and you touch on that in the presentation as well. Could you do it any quicker?
Alex, yeah, there are certain areas I believe where we can move quicker. In term and I think there's 2 things where the drilling will continue as normal, and I think there's not much that we can do in terms of shortening the drilling as such. But what we want to do is bring the concept study in earlier to give us a pretty good idea what is happening and viability of the ore body. But in terms of the mining works program, which is required for the lodgement of a mining right application, we can already start, with that and bring this forward as well, or earlier. So I believe that there are certain aspects, and in particular in terms of a mining right application, that we can lodge that earlier than we originally planned. It's not necessarily dependent on the feasibility study. And once we've got a life of mine plan, we've got a resource, we can lodge that application. We, of course, need to do a scoping study and a social and labor plan. But all that we can, bring forward and, make sure that we finish it rather earlier than later.
And obviously it's still very early days, but in your view, what could this project become?
Yeah, Alex, I think it's probably a bit early, at this point in time, and a bit too speculative to indicate exactly what it could become. But what I can suggest is, Chris Baker look out for his report. I think we'll post that on our website, and there's also already reports from Chris on that website, which covers the industry. And I think, I have no doubt that it certainly, in terms of what we have, could become a significant project, but I think a bit too early at this point to speculate on the tons and production.
Place to invest. Is that true? South Africa, obviously historically a mining town. Is it a risky place to invest?
Alex, we've seen, and surely, I mean, the platinum industry in general went through a rough patch here in 2016-17. And then, of course, we went through that rocky patch with the tenure of President Zuma. At least he's now been replaced by Cyril Ramaphosa, which is the current president of the republic. And during the recent Indaba conference, President Ramaphosa left no doubt that the mining industry is very critical for the economy, and we've seen the mining industry during times of difficult economic years. The mining industry always come to the fore and support the economy. For instance, the PGMs or the sector last year was the single largest exporter or a contributor to the South African economy, which shows that PGMs in particular plays an important role. If we look at Eskom, Eskom is always in the news, but a lot has been done to encourage independent power producers. They also look at breaking up Eskom into three components or several parts, and that I think will encourage efficiency. So overall, I think certainly there are, what we've seen in the past and what is happening, there are certainly certain indications from the government that they support the industry. They also singled out the PGMs and the hydrogen industry as a key focal point in the future for development. So there is a proactive approach from government in terms of PGMs and developing a greener energy, a green economy, and that will certainly, I believe, support PGMs and the mining industry going forward.
Thanks, Johan. Look, I think that's probably all the time that we have today. Thank you all for joining me, and I'd also like to thank both Johan and Uwe for presenting and taking the time to answer some questions. As I mentioned before, a recording of the webinar will be on Southern Palladium's website and social media platforms later today. Johan, before I let you go, do you have any final comments to leave with us today?
Yeah, I think, from our side, we believe that, we are part of a green economy, and certainly, that will support prices going forward. We've seen still fairly stable prices in this current economic environment, and we as a company and also the project, I believe, have the critical elements to take this project forward and to become quite a major role player in the industry going forward.
Fantastic. Well, look, that wraps it up for us here. Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you very much, Johan. Enjoy the rest of your day. And Johan, really appreciate the early morning wake-up call. But again, really appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you, Alex.